So I can't quite tell if I should be happy or disgusted that my thought that Masha is trying to use these folks as a medium came to be true. But here we are. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Sixth episode of Nine Perfect Strangers is here, called the Motherlode, and it's sort of a double meaning when it's all said and done, but it is sort of the Motherlode is basically putting everything that they have sort of out there on the table. And as much as the last episode, which I think still is my favorite, sort of allowed a lot of connective tissues between people, this one is sort of just like let's blow all that up to sky high. Let's blow it all to shit. See what happens. We get a mini continuous conversations of Masha and Delilah saying they're not ready for the protocol. They are ready for the protocol. It's up to the protocol. Here's the protocol. It can get a little bit old, get a little bit tiring, but we get more of that here. And Masha has upped everybody's dose. So this episode basically is a mind fuck. It's one big acid trip, if you will. Everybody's on a high. Everybody's seeing things way more tangibly and way more viscerally than they ever have before. Seeing little people. And we get to this point where basically we learn that Masha is drugging them and hiding the drug points to be able to manipulate the dreams so that they can see their dreams, so their dreams can become tangible, so they can interact with them. She's chosen these nine perfect strangers as sort of a way that they've all been in some way hurt, broken, depressed. Something tragic has happened to their lives, and then these dreams are they can they're so emotionally broken that their dreams become so large and so emotionally depth and connected that they can kind of recreate the pain or the person that they are seeing in their pain. We take a lot of leaps of faith with this episode. We have Masha just showing up in Lars's bedroom unannounced. Jessica's bedroom, she just pops out of nowhere. She's sort of like Freddy Krueger if she was a skinny white blonde Russian. That's what she is. She hasn't murdered anybody, but she is in everybody's bedrooms and whispering sweet nothings to their dreams. Um, which I would have to say, outside of her just being able to drug everybody and show up wherever the hell she wants and even use this dream psychosis, which somebody else better than me look it up. I don't know if it can actually be done, but what's crazy is how is nobody left? Like they are still able to just out and leave. Someone out of nine people, there isn't enough that has occurred that has allowed me to believe that all nine people would still stay here. But we do get a couple more reveals in here. One of the biggest ones is that Carmel and Masha share a history. Carmel's husband had an affair with Masha. It doesn't quite say when, but it's somewhere earlier in their lifetime where they have had an affair, and it meant absolutely nothing to Masha, but it seemed like it may have been the impetus, at least in Carmel's mind, so that has led her husband to sort of go down the slippery slope of just cheating and abusing her mentally or physically, but just cheating on her and ending up with the woman, the young version of the woman that she has now. And so she's there more so as a recon missionist, not to hurt Masha. It doesn't seem like she wants to cause her any pain, although Masha's unsure if she's the one being a threat. But I never really thought that, even though she has violent tendencies. Uh, she's more there just to see what it was that made him fall for her and why she was the one that sort of started that road. Um, Carmel, though, even with a hiding drug, she notes that she's on another psychotic drug, and mixed with this, they don't know if she seems to be the only one not actually on a high or getting any better. She seems to be sort of worse, which Melissa McCarthy's character Frances sort of calls her out on. Francis and Tony sort of have a moment. They finally do. Won't they? Finally lessens. The shield comes down and they actually get their kissing on, get their smooching on. That's not surprising. What is surprising is that immediately following that up, his reaction to that drug, to the drugs that he's on, is Tony. He had already sort of mentioned that he's not going to make it to the end of the week. He starts pontificating and sort of asking, "Have you ever considered it? Have you ever thought about taking your life?" Which is a massive way to buzzkill a moment, Tony. Well done. Getting your mac on, kissing all up on her, and like, hey, have you thought about ending it? Not the real 1-2 punch you or ladies man that you want to do there, but so be it. But that just shows you how everybody's going on these trips. Jessica has this whole moment where she thinks she's lost her nose is falling off, and Masha comes in like a Batman out of the belfry, like, hey, still got your nose, you're good. What is happening in this, and sort of what I led to before, is that I think she is using these folks as a medium. Didn't know why. We get the reveal at the end, but I didn't know why. She's using them as a medium to sort of be able to speak to people on another existence or who have gone. We've learned at the very end of this episode that at some point in time, all the flashbacks that we've been seeing, we've been thinking that we were seeing a young Masha, but what we've actually been seeing is Masha's daughter, who is no longer with us because she was riding a bike and it looks like she got hit in traffic and lost her daughter. So it seems like she is putting all of these folks through this rigmarole, through these highs and lows, so that yes, they do get something out of it too. They're getting to reconnect with someone that they've lost, someone that they've hurt, some part of their pain, but they also are helping her further get to the point where she can be able to speak to people on another existence. And she has not tested the stuff. It doesn't seem like she's testing the stuff out so much on herself. She's using other people as guinea pigs, and she is having Lars, who she knows has been recording. She gives him back her phone, saying like, "Your Wi-Fi is still shut off," which I feel like they still could just leave, but your Wi-Fi has been cut off. But you can still use the camera to get that story that you so desperately need. And so I think she wants him to record whatever findings they find, just so that this can kind of blow up and say that this is a thing, that I am now able to create a world, create a drug, create a pattern good enough that people can speak to those that are no longer with us, or access their dreams to speak to loved ones, lost ones, so on and so forth. It is a bizarre episode. As much as I think everything else that sort of came before this felt a little bit more tangible. When you start doing things as wild as this, I start questioning rules, and I start questioning how are things happening the way they are. Nothing up to this point, outside of a couple slight hints, felt very much supernatural. This episode, we got sprinkles of it the last episode. This episode's like, we're fully into it. And this is one of those films where you're either on the ride or you're not. It can get to the point where this feels so unbelievable. You're like, what the hell are we doing? I enjoy it. I think I have now, since after many requests, I've since burned through The White Lotus, which was a lot more of a dark comedy about classism and social classes and how we all are just keep in this rat race and this wheel. This, outside of putting a bunch of people in a group setting together on an island, feels very different. And because the setup to this point has all felt one way and they were just going to go complete left, it's a bit jarring. I still enjoy watching the actors do their moments and have their character beats, but this episode felt like a Twilight Zone episode in comparison to everything else that has occurred before. And so I don't know if we're going to go in the future episodes more to the left, or we're going to kind of try to straighten it back out and go in the narrow and say, yeah, there are some supernatural elements that are occurring, but we're still going to play this pretty straight. I don't have a preference. I just want them to choose one, because I feel like if we start going back and forth between these, it's going to become a bit of a muddled mess at the end of this. mentioned this before. I have not read the book, but I am aware. I have gone down to see what are some of the differences between the book and the series, just because I wanted to see what is a best-selling book if some of the issues that I have occur in the book versus here. And one of the biggest ones that I have that I still just can't get my brain around is the fact that uh, Masha let all these folks know that they are being drugged, and they all accepted it. It's a hard thing to wrap your brain around, and apparently the book they don't reveal that they are being drugged until the towards the end, which changes a lot because I now am. It removes my block that I have for that 9 people would be like, cool, cool, keep bringing me in them drugs, as opposed to them just sort of happening and they go on this experience um, without really knowing what's happening to them. It's a very small difference, but it's enough that kind of takes a lot of the believability out. And when you start adding in the fact that people are dreams are being controlled, basically playing flatliners instead of dealing with joking with your death, you're playing with people's dreams. There is a very very thin line of disbelief that is starting to appear, and you start pulling at the threads. I'm not. We only have 2 more episodes, so it's not a lot they can. I will say. Let me take that back. There's a lot they can do. There's not a lot that they can mess up at this point because there's only 2 more episodes to go. Uh, I don't know how this ends. I don't. I have a feeling that at some point we're gonna have uh, Masha speaking to her daughter, and then everything just falls apart. Like, or everybody else can do it. They drug her up. They put her through this protocol, and she can't recreate that same feeling. And she sort of gets down and depressed about it. We still don't quite know who's threatening her, which is my understanding another new added fold to this, and it seems like that's unnecessary. Whoever's hunting her down, or I feel like the story could still be just as good without that added point. Because there's still so many things with 2 episodes left. There's so many things left on the table for you to sort of explain the murder mystery of who shot her and who's trying to come back and get her. It feels messy, but we only got 2 more. I'm interested to see where we actually go with the landing of this. I think we had a pretty good setup to up to this episode, which sort of feels a little bit long. We get a lot of reveals, which is great. It's what I wanted. We got some reveals, but I feel like now the suspension of disbelief is starting to weigh down heavier on all the reveals that we're getting. What did you guys think about this latest episode of Nine Perfect Strangers called Motherlode? Give me your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts, and also here on YouTube. We have 2 shows going right now. We have our original show about reboots, remakes, sequels, and prequels, where we talked about Shang-Chi this week, and then we have our second show called Marvel Pair-Ups, where we have our guest host Jamie Jurek. We discuss the new Marvel What If show and pair it up with a classic non-canon MCU, sort of an alternate world, a multiverse world. We looked at Blade, Captain America 1944, and Howard the Duck. And this week we'll be talking about Incredible Hulk, Ang Lee's. So check that out here as well. But like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.